Hello there and welcome to another video, and this video is another video challenge, or video game challenge I should say, and this is LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga Droid Only Challenge. Now what is a Droid Only Challenge? Well, we're going to go through every single level of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga and see if you can complete it by using a droid. Now what counts as a droid? Well, anything that is a robot basically. So say for example IG-88 or Forlom, the manga guards, the battle droids, the astromechs, or protocol droids. Basically you can use any of these droids, but you're not allowed to use any other character. This means characters like General Grievous are not allowed because he's a cyborg. You're not allowed to use any Jedi. Similarly, you're not allowed to use any custom characters because that would just break the rules. However, extras are perfectly fine. Now I'm going to go through every single level of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and I'm going to be trying to do them with droids only. Now this is going to be quite interesting because, as we will see, many of the levels are basically impossible to do. So it's not really a challenge of if you can actually do it droid only, because already we will fail. Rather, how many levels can you do droid only? So without further ado, let us begin. So first up is the Phantom Menace, and first up is Negotiations, and we fail straight away because you need a Jedi to exit the room, which is a real shame because most of the level could probably be done with just droids. We suffer a similar problem in the Invasion of Naboo level, as basically, despite the fact that we can move forward for a short while, as soon as the tree is blown up and falls down, you're unable to move on. You can't jump past it, you can't fly past it, you can't go around it, you can't just try and glitch through. You need a Jedi to lift the tree up. Basically, you're stuck. At Feed's Palace now, and we finally get a level which we can do droid only. We can use IG-88 or Forlom to basically go through the entire level. You do not need to use any other character, and you can just bypass everything. You can shoot down any enemies, you can basically shoot all the targets, and you can go on the pressure plates to unlock the exit. Basically, this level is completely possible by doing it droid only. Now onto the pod race, and here we have something quite interesting. Can you do any of the flying missions with a droid? Well, yes you can. There are two droids, in fact, the Droid Tri-Fighter and the Vulture Droid. Both of these are droids, and therefore they can count for this challenge. And you can do the pod race with the Vulture Droid or the Tri-Fighter. Either way, it doesn't matter, and you will definitely be able to do this droid only. Retake Feed's Palace, I was a little bit worried at first because at the very beginning of the level, you're often forced to destroy the droid tank, and you'll then use the Jedi to create a bit of staircases. However, you can use a grapple hook from the other side and grapple over to where you need to go. You can also just use a high jumper like a manga guard to jump over and get across. Using an astromech or even IG-88 or Forlom, you can go into the next area. Then you can use an astromech to fly across. You can then put on the pressure plates. However, it's near this part where we fail the challenge once again, because no droid character can build. The manga guards can't build, IG-88 can't build, Forlom can't build, no one can build. And you need to build a astromech panel to get through to the next area, meaning that you're unable to make any more progress, which is a real shame because you're able to do quite a lot without using any other character. Darth Maul I thought would be a failure from the start, however it sort of isn't. Basically, after you destroy the battle droids, Darth Maul will try to throw stuff at you. You can shoot Darth Maul and Darth Maul will be taken out. By that point, you have to then use a Jedi to create a bridge. Now, I thought I could use an astromech to fly across and everything will be hunky-dory. However, you can't do this. The game forces the astromech down to the death zone and you're basically killed. And as a result, you're unable to make any more progress. On to Attack of the Clones now. Bounty Hunter Pursuit can be done because we can use a Vulture Droid or a Droid Tri-Fighter. You can just use them and you'll be able to go across the level like normal. So yes, that level is completely possible droid only. Discovery on Kamino is impossible to do because you need a Jedi to create a lamppost. It's a real shame because you think you can use an astromech to hopefully glide across to the doorway where you need to go, but unfortunately the astromech will just fall down too short and the length is too short for the astromech to glide across, meaning that you are unable to do Discovery on Kamino droid only. The first half of Droid Factory is possible to do. You can use droids to get through the actual factory bit. However, as soon as you get to the fans, you are unable to make any more progress. You cannot get to the platform up top. I tried using the Mangaga to jump highly, and I couldn't do that. I tried using IG-88 to swing across from the other side, and once again you fall too short from the platform, meaning that you are basically stuck here, which is a real shame because, again, you could make quite a bit of progress up until this point. Jedi battle is once again impossible to do. You can kill off the first batch of battle droids, but soon you have to rescue Padme, and you cannot do this because you need a Jedi character. Gunship Cavalry is a flying mission, and you'd think with a flying mission you could use a droid to do it. However, you also need to use the tow balls, and the tow mines, tow balls, whatever they are, you cannot use with either the droid ships, or the droids, flying droids I should say. The droid Tri-Fighter nor the Vulture droid can use these towing mechanisms, meaning that you are stuck at the first hurdle. You can't even fly around or glitch through, which is a real shame. On to Count Dooku now. The first bit you can do, however, as soon as Count Dooku goes behind that door, you can do the little platform section, but you're stuck because you cannot use a Jedi to do the doors, meaning that once again you are stuck where you are and you cannot progress further. On to Revenge of the Sith now. The first mission, Battle over Coruscant, you can definitely do. You can just use a Vulture droid or a droid Tri-Fighter and it will be easy as is. You can just fly around, shoot everything, and yep, you're done. There's no actual effort needed whatsoever. Rescuing the Chancellor, you can't get past the first area. As soon as General Grievous goes behind those doors, you are unable to get past that door because you need a Jedi to use the Force to open the door, which really sucks because you think you can just walk through. This one, it really hurts. You see, the General Grievous boss fight, you'd think you could be able to do it because for the most part, you can actually do this. You can beat down Grievous quite a bit. However, as soon as Grievous is on his last few hearts, you have to use one more mine to blow him up to then get him onto the last platform. However, no matter what you do, you cannot do anything. I tried using grenades, I tried using the blaster bolts, which have explosive power, to try and hurt him. However, you need to use a mine to cause damage, and the only way to use a mine is to use a Jedi character to use the Force to put it right next to General Grievous. This is a real shame because for the most part, you can actually get this level done. Defense of Kashyyyk now, and Defense of Kashyyyk you fail immediately. You need a Jedi character to lower the bridge, that is all. Similarly, the Fall of the Jedi, you cannot go any further than the front doors because once again you need a Jedi to open the doors. This game really relies on the Jedi. And finally, Darth Vader. Now Darth Vader at first I thought was impossible because you couldn't get past the first area. And you can get past the first area, but as soon as you're in the second area with all the beams on the floor, you cannot get past because you need to use a Jedi character to lift up the beams and get out of the way. So yeah, as you can probably note, the prequels so far have been disastrous for the droid-only run. Only a few levels are possible with droids only. 3 of them are basically flying missions, only one of them require droids on the ground to do stuff. It's pretty bad, and the reason why is because the prequels mostly use the Jedi to do a lot of the tasks, meaning that you need the Force to use or bypass a lot of areas. A lot of areas are blocked off by doorways that you need a Jedi to use the Force with, whereas in the original trilogy you don't actually have as many Jedi and you can actually use a lot more grapple hooks and characters to use blasters with. So, speaking of the original trilogy, let's get on to it. And right away, the secret plans, we cannot progress further. The reason why is because you need to build something, and you cannot build with any droid character, not even IG-88 or Full-On. On to the next level now, and the first bit you can do droid only. However, you then get to a sandy dune which you just cannot pass through. I tried jumping, I tried floating, I tried an alternate route. You just can't get past this. Unfortunately, you need a Jedi character to create a ramp of sorts to bypass this slidey sand area, and that's about it. Once again, another level fail. The next level is perfectly fine as long as you've got explosive bolts. You see, you can actually pass through this level pretty effortlessly with just a droid, namely IG-88 or Forlong. Or you can use the manga guard to jump up to higher areas and bypass a lot of problematic platforming. But you will need the explosive bolts and the super blasters. The reason why is because technically in this level you need to build a walker, and you need to use this walker to basically go on a rampage and break down some gates. Luckily, you don't actually need to do any of this. You can just use the explosive bolts and blow open the gates and just go on through, which works like a charm. So technically speaking, this level is possible as long as you've got the extras working. If you didn't have the extras working, this level would not be possible. The first of the Death Star levels, and I actually thought that this level didn't require Obi-Wan at all, or at least if I remembered, it didn't include Obi-Wan, but unfortunately it does, and you need him almost immediately. Once again, failure. The second of the Death Star levels was, again, I thought a level that I could probably do, but again, you can't do it because droids cannot build nor can they use levers, which means that you fail more or less straight away. But hey, at least Rebel Attack you can actually do, because once again, you can just use a droid tri-fighter or a the Vulture droid to fly through and just destroy everything and save the day, destroy the Death Star with Vulture droid. That's basically what you can do, and you can do it quite well. On to the Empire Strikes Back now, and the first level is impossible to do because you cannot use a tow with any of the droid ships, or the flying droids I should say. The reason why is not really clear. You just can't do it because only certain vehicles can do this, meaning that you can't progress beyond the first area. The next level you cannot pass through because once again you need to build something in order to progress because there's ice in the way. You cannot do this. Falcon Run, on the other hand, you can do. Once again, it's a flying level, meaning that you can use just a very basic starship, or I should say a flying droid, and you can just bypass everything. Once again, flying levels are 100% able to be completed. Dagobah is up next, and Dagobah is a level which, for the most part, you can probably do. Now, this was a level that took me the longest, took me almost 10 minutes, mainly because of the pressure plate pads that you need to jump across. Now, usually you would jump on top of one, and then you jump onto the next, and so forth. Unfortunately here, because of the droid-only challenge, you can't really do it like that. You have to instead jump into the water and hope you land on the pressure plate. This took me ages, but you can actually do it, and then with a R2 unit, you can fly across onto the next side. However, the challenge ends as soon as you get to the cave. When you get to the cave, you have to fight Vader, and whilst you can get the first few hits in, after that, you basically can't reach him. He jumps onto a higher platform, and you can't use the Force to basically create blocks to jump over, and you can't basically do anything whatsoever. So essentially, you're stuck where you are, which is a real shame because you get quite a bit in Dagobah. The next level is another insta-fail because basically you have to fly across and use a button. However, droids cannot build, nor can the distance really savour the astromech, which can fly across. So basically, you're screwed. And so is the final level of The Empire Strikes Back, and once again, you lose because of stairs. Basically, as soon as Boba Fett turns the stairs into a ramp, you cannot get across, no matter what. I tried using the manga guard to try and fly across. I tried doing the astromech. You can't do it. It's impossible to do, and because droids can't use levers, basically you're stuck here. No matter what, you couldn't jump over towards the top of the ramp, which is a real shame because you'd think you reached it, but then the character starts sliding, which really sucks. So basically, it's impossible to do. On to Return of the Jedi now, and the first level, you can actually do the first bit like normal. Simply put, in the normal level, you play as Princess Leia or Chewbacca, and you just shoot these eye things, and then you go through the door. However, it's after you go through the door that the challenge once again fails, because you know what droids can't and can do. For example, they can't build, nor can they pull levers, and you need to do this. In the following level, you can actually get quite a bit into it. You can go through all the barges quite effortlessly. You can use an astromech to float across. You can just jump across with IG-88 or any of the other droid characters that can jump. And you can even defeat Boba Fett. And it's until you get to Jabba's barge where things immediately fail, because you cannot really progress any further beyond this. You can go across one side of it, but you still need to get to the main area where you need to open the doors to get inside, which you just can't do. Onto the speed bike level, and immediately we fail because you can't build anything, which is a real shame. You can't even jump across onto the log because, well, it's just too high. At the Ewok village now, and once again we fail quite quickly because you can't progress beyond the first main area because of the fact that you can't fly across. No matter what, the ledge is too high and you can't even jump across, so you actually need to build a bridge or get a smaller character to go through the vent, and because there's no small droid that can go through vents, you're basically stuck where you are. The Palpatine boss fight, you can actually defeat Palpatine for the first stage of the boss fight, which is quite cool. You can even get rid of the guards. However, because Palpatine goes onto a higher ledge, which requires 2 Force characters to create a vent to fly over there, and then he electrocutes the floor, you can't really make any more progress. I did try with the explosive lightsabers and the explosive bolts, etc., to try and damage Palpatine from underneath the ledge, but unfortunately the damage doesn't count and Palpatine doesn't get hurt. He does flash red, but none of the hearts deplete, meaning that you are stuck where you are. And finally, the final level, and because it's a flying mission, you can destroy the Death Star 2 with a droid fighter for that matter. And yeah, as you can see, this is pretty low in terms of how much you can do as a droid. Simply put, most levels are impossible to do. The main reason why is because a lot of levels often require characters to either pull a lever, to get to a high place, to use the Force mainly. That was the biggest issue. And as a result, droids can't really do any of that stuff. There are a lot of moments where the game comes ever so close for a droid to maybe fly across to another ledge or maybe do this, that, or the other. Pretty much most of the levels that were able to be done were all flying missions, simply put, because you have a fighter droid, a vulture droid I should say. You can basically go ahead and do those missions as a droid. But in terms of levels that you can do just as a droid, there's only really 2, and these 2 levels are mainly made in a way that only characters with, say, guns, blasters I should say, are the main focus. You see, when we are at Feed's Palace, the whole level doesn't really require the Jedi, so you can actually just go around and shoot things all the time, and that means that IG-88 or Forlorn can easily go through this level. Similarly, with Mos Espa Spaceport, you can, once again, don't need a Jedi for this level, you just need something that can shoot, so you can just bypass all that. Other levels, which mostly have shooting characters, often fail because of the levers or the building mechanics, and because droids can't build nor can they actually do any pulling of levers, you're basically forced to just fail the level, and it's a real shame. More often than not, failure came because of one small inconvenience, and it does make me wonder if the rest of the level could be done as droid only. I'm sure there's some of them that could be done as soon as you get rid of the Force area or the Force doors, etc., and maybe then you can do it all just droid only, but for the most part it's impossible, which is a real shame. I thought this challenge would have been a little bit more mixed, like there would have been a lot more levels where you can just do droid only, and certainly when I was on Phantom Menace there were a few things, and there are some very interesting and, dare I say, wonderful finds. Like, for example, Dagobah, you can jump on the pressoplads without even making them rise from the water. You can float across to certain areas. You can get quite a distance in some levels, but then you just fail because of certain little moments. The General Grievous one probably is the most offending one because all it takes is one Jedi character to lift a bomb for the bomb to damage Grievous to finish him off. Most of the level could be done with just a droid, which is a real shame. But I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a fun little challenge video. It's not very important, not very big, but I just thought, hey, why not do something that is just a droid only challenge? And I hope to see you next time.